talk about it. Share communication, making preparation, building a foundation. Let's talk about it. Setting up our future, bringing ourselves closer, falling in love deeper. Let's talk about it. Since we have this moment together, relationships grow better with Marriage Talk.
Well, good morning and welcome to Marriage Talk. I am Pastor Kim Brown. This is my lovely wife of 27 years, Elder Valerie K. Brown, and we are blessed today that we've got some millennials and some young adult singles. And if you tuned in last Saturday, we started talking about dating. And so please wake somebody up, especially a young person. Man, we have gotten old because I'm sitting up here talking to people that are between 18, they over 18,
Your
and I'm
children.
calling them young people.
Yes. Yes.
But wake somebody up, let them know Marriage Talk is on the phone. We've shifted gears just a little during this series, and we're not talking to couples, we're talking to singles, because we believe that if we can help singles become more sensitive to the dating process, they have healthier relationships. And if you watched last week, we were just getting into some dating dialogue about texting and social media and things like that. And
Yes.
Elder, yeah.
Yes, and as we always say, once the camera stopped rolling
it
is when the
started to
real
get live in
conversation.
here. So,
So I
yeah.
said we needed to revisit
Yeah.
that just a little bit and spend a few more minutes talking about social media and texting, because we were beginning to talk about, the preference of texting or talking when you're on the phone when you're dating. And so we began to get into a key item that I thought would be very beneficial for the women that are listening. And we said, if a guy really likes you, he is not going to text you, because the average guy, if they really like you, are going to be finding every way and opportunity they can to spend time
'Cause I
with
didn't text you. 30 years ago, I didn't text her.
we didn't have texting. And the guys echoed in and said, that's right. They will do whatever they have to do to find time, make time, because everybody does that for what they want. And then I'd like to hear y'all comment to that just a little bit for our listeners.
That they're going to find time.
Spending time is important.
Yeah.
Spending time is important. I mean, as simple as that.
And you will spend time and find the time. So you're telling every single woman out there that
Look at that camera and say, if
that's
he's
right,
not willing to invest time.
FaceTime.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Not time texting, but whether it's FaceTime or whether it's physically coming to her
Yes.
location,
Yep.
he really does not like you. Is that a true statement?
Yes, he'll find you. He'll find time, or you say, we'll make time. Sometimes the time ain't always convenient for him, but he'll make it happen if he's interested in her.
Wow.
But on the same time, she has to give back feedback. He can't be calling her and she texting him talking about, how are you doing?
Okay.
So it's a two-way street, because, sometimes you get in a situation where you're trying to communicate with her and she's want to text back.
Okay.
As a brother, you get frustrated with that. So, it's a two-way
But
street.
ladies, is it not the same statement, though? If you're not giving him the FaceTime and the physical time, are you telling him as well, I'm not interested? Does the
Yes.
same apply?
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to make time for you to see me at my most casual, so you can see me with my hair just not done and
Right.
me in sweats. But
That's right.
but
That's
yeah,
right.
I'm going to make time for you if a woman is texting you and you have expressed that you don't want to communicate like that, then I think that's a sign that she's not that interested.
Wow.
And maybe I'm different. I'll just tell you I'm not interested. You won't have my phone number, number one, and then
Right.
You
second,
won't have a phone number.
you won't have
No,
my phone number.
absolutely.
You won't have the
Or I'll tell you to
opportunity
lose
to
it.
get the perpetual rejection.
Right.
You just won't have my number.
Correct.
Okay.
Now talk about the Millennial Cafe. We were beginning to talk about that a little bit too.
Another article, that there's a such thing as a millennial cafe. And in this cafe, millennials take their date and they sit across the table from each other, and they, again, send these text messages, they send the GIFs, and they send emoticons.
But you're sitting
But
right
we
there
are
with the
physically
person.
right,
together
you are
on a
physically
date,
together.
but not talking.
but not communicating
Wow.
verbally. You
Right.
are still texting in this
Wow.
cafe, and they say that you can order food. So I guess they have food. You can
Mm-hmm.
dine, but you're still dining. But the sad reality is, I may not have been to a millennial cafe, but I have been on a date where the person that I'm with is more
Now, that
interested
is
in their
so
phone,
true.
and that's just as discouraging as a millennial cafe. So even when you have the FaceTime, when you're in their
Somebody- can
face,
somebody get her
it's
some
not
water? She
okay.
has something in her throat. Yeah, get her some
It's not
water,
okay to
Sean.
spend your time on the phone. I
That's
think
right.
it's inappropriate.
If you're
Yeah,
together,
oh, I
you're
think-
supposed to
It
be
lacks the intimacy.
I
communicating
think that
together.
is so disrespectful.
Yes, it surely is.
Yeah, that is so disrespectful.
Whether you're dating or whether
Tune
you're
in-
married,
Tune in
right?
next week for marriage counseling. How to get that phone out of your spouse's hand.
Oh, that would be a great one.
That's a
I
great
I
one.
see a whole lot of people clapping at the TV right now,
Hercules,
saying, "Please,
Hercules."
Bishop, talk about that." Okay,
Yep.
back to the dating. Okay, Nail.
Well, I think we need to continue to talk about that.
Well,
back to the
I am very conscious when it comes to the phone.
Because you are a social media.
Yeah.
Junkie.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yes.
despite that,
Okay.
I will put my phone away, whether it's a conversation with anybody, but especially with a girl. Hey, I'm paying attention to you.
Your phone buzzing right now.
But it's on vibrate.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I think you do have to take that into consideration if you're dating a man and you know that maybe he's a powerful businessman who needs to be constantly in connection with someone, or if social media is a big part of someone's
Yeah.
brand
you know,
or
like
business.
they have thousands of people that
Yes.
are always communicating with them that
Yeah.
need their assistance.
And they may need their phone, but they do
Yeah.
you have to have scheduled times at that point where it's all about me and you and not my business matters.
That's correct, because that's a sign on the pre-dating side of what your married life is going to look like, and I think that's a key as well. If you accept the fact that they talk on the phone the whole time, and that's super
will have to
important,
live with
then
that
you're
when you
going to
get
live
married.
with that when you get married,
Yeah.
ladies. That's correct. Can't get mad now because he told you that's
Isn't
who he
it
was going
amazing
to
how
be.
the Holy Spirit takes the show and guides it? Okay, I want to ask this question. One, if and I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but this question is for all 6 of you. Deal breaker. If you could sum up in a sentence, a statement, a word, when you're dating, what is a deal breaker? Let's start on the end.
How many?
Well,
Deal breaker,
Yeah, what's-
deal
what's the
breaker
deal?
is in terms of no longer dating you or no longer marriage material. What
Yeah,
or are they
well,
the same for you? I mean, I'm just trying to.
I think they kind of the same.
Okay,
Yeah.
great,
So
okay.
once we get here, I'm like, oh, that's a deal breaker right
Okay.
here.
Sex before marriage is a deal breaker. If you tell me that if we don't have sex, we can't continue, I'm like, we're done.
Okay.
Okay. Deal breaker. All right.
For me, addictions. If I know you have a gambling addiction, a sex addiction, a porn addiction, I can't date somebody who's addicted to anything.
How about like a food addiction?
That's still unhealthy.
Okay. Okay.
that's still
Addiction.
unhealthy.
Okay. Wow.
Wow, both of them have come off of my list. I would definitely say the sex before marriage piece is huge. That has been a deal breaker in the past, and I think, it's just about respect. Like, if you're saying you won't wait, then we don't need to date.
Okay. All right.
This is going to be interesting as we turn this way to the fellas. Okay.
Me or you,
Speak
Mel?
up loud and clear.
My deal breaker is if I discover that you're in it for what I can provide and you're not in it for me.
But how do you? Yeah, I
good.
I
That's
agree with
good.
that, because that was one of the things that when we were dating seriously, that was one of the things I knew she was not after me for my money. And that just
You
was so
think?
refreshing. That was so refreshing, because you don't know how frustrating it is when every person you date is just after you.
When the
for
first
your
question
money.
they ask is where you work.
Yep.
Where you work and what
Yep.
kind of car you
Yep.
driving. Okay.
Yep.
Because she pulled up in a what?
She had a Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about what she was driving.
I guess maybe
then.
I need to sit on this side and say I would never date a guy that's after me for what I got.
I wasn't after you for
I
what
think he
you
saw
got.
more. I
I
think he
just
saw
knew
more.
that if you had gotten it, you could help me get it. Because I didn't know anybody that had ever gotten it. So I said, well, if she was able to get it, she might know some secrets that I don't
That's
know.
good.
And
That's
so
good.
she can help me get it. But it was not, because you got to understand, when I first saw her, I didn't know what she was driving. I didn't know where
no, you
she
didn't.
lived, what she was driving, or anything. I first
No.
saw her in the jewelry store. Now
That was that physical attraction y'all
now,
were talking about.
absolutely, it was physical attraction. Now, I should have known when I saw her in the jewelry store that she liked jewelry, but But no, now I will acknowledge when I saw what she had as a man, what I thought was definitely not. I think I was intimidated, and we'll talk about that maybe in the next show, because I think sometimes, and it'll be interesting to hear the two sides, I think sometimes women are very intimidating to guys. And I know in our generation that was the case. I was very intimidated by her because, she was doing very, very well. And not that I hadn't dated people that weren't doing well, but I didn't even know anybody, honestly, who was running their own business. Other than maybe the guy that, would build decks, me, but I didn't know anybody that was in the bank building running their own business with employees. So that was really intimidating to me. Before her, I don't even think I knew a CPA. So when when I saw on her license plate, Val CPA, I had to do some research. What is a CPA? Certified Public Accountant. And so I think it can be intimidating. But deal breakers. Yes. So we just said one. What's your deal breaker?
Mine would be smoking.
Okay.
In the day and age, you don't meet everybody in the church. You meet people outside of the church. So until you get to know their background and their lifestyle, the first thing for me would be.
Yeah, because everybody in church on Sunday, you will never know a smoker.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Because they got hubba bubba and everything else in their mouth.
I think that's the biggest thing for me, smoking. I can't deal with that, your breath and things of that nature. Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
It's funny. Yes, Elder.
Yes.
We were talking to the teens the other night, and they told me my preferences. It's so funny how they know me.
Wow.
And the thing that they said that is the answer to this question is she has to have a vision. She has to love God. And so
she has to have vision.
Yeah, if she has no vision, if she does not know who she is, that's a deal breaker to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to pick up there. When we come back, we're going to pick up right there because I want to, I guess that was really interesting about just not just the deal breakers, but let's start with even the vision piece, because I think that we live in a day and time where people, and I'm sure for women, I'm not saying for these ladies, but I think one of the challenges with women that I see is society is defining them, and if they don't look like or operate like what they see society, they get depressed. We're going to be back in just a few moments. This is Marriage Talk. Today we're talking about dating with singles and just the process of dating. We just started talking about deal breakers. And when we come back, we might need to talk about what our deal breakers were, because my deal breaker got busted. What I said I wouldn't do, I ended up doing. So I just want y'all to know that deal breakers might not be deal breakers if you meet the right one. That's exactly right. We'll be back in a minute. Wake somebody up, let them know that Marriage Talk is on the air. Woo! Welcome back to Marriage Talk. I am Pastor Kim Brown. This is my lovely wife, the elder of our church, apple of my eye for the last 27 years, mother of my children. And we're talking to these marvelous,
good stuff
anointed,
good stuff.
saved, intelligent, and professional singles that are up here. And before the break, we started talking about deal breakers. And the deal breakers went the gamut.
Yes, they did.
From asking me for intimacy before marriage to smoking.
Yes.
And, but the one that we want to launch into first is, he didn't say it this way, but gold diggers.
Gold diggers.
Gold diggers. Okay. So categorically, okay, how do you know if that's what?
And before he jumps into it, one of the things we say, and we always say, during a break is the best talking, but it goes both ways. I know you're saying it from a male's perspective of
but there's
women.
Some men that are gold diggers.
That is correct, but there are women as well. I mean, men as well that are gold diggers. So we want to talk exactly.
I see that more nowadays.
Yeah.
But how do you know? What are some of the signs?
I would say, for example, if I want to do something for you, that's one thing. But if we just met and then you expect me to give you money to pay for your nails or pay for your hair to get done or ask you stuff that you should have been taking care of before I came along.
Right.
So it's those, women have that way to ask you without asking you. So.
Okay. How long should we be dating before I say, my nails need to be done?
Never, from my perspective, but I mean, I might be wrong, and I'm sure I just alienated some women out there. But I'm agreeing with male. I mean, my whole point is, I'm taking care of myself.
Okay.
Period. Because I think that goes back to the deal breakers and your expectations of your partner or your dating spouse. I was taking care of myself before I met you. I'm going to continue to take care of myself.
Grass, though.
I was paying for someone to cut my grass. I was taking care of myself. So I don't need you to do anything for me unless you desire to. So if you suggest or give me a gift certificate or whatever to get my nails done, that's different, I think, from you saying me asking you, I need my hair done, or
right. As Bishop related to him cutting your grass back in the day.
Right.
I think that as the relationship progresses, the man would automatically be like, hey,
exactly.
I noticed your light bulb was out. He'll go to the store and buy a light bulb.
Right.
But I kind
of we went and bought a lawnmower. I'm trying to figure out how we got there though. For the conversation today, I don't think I remember saying, I want to cut your grass.
Well, I also think that women also want to test to make sure that you will do it. So little small tests like my grass needs to be cut.
Been cut.
Right, because if you say I'm not going to cut your grass, then what kind of man are you? You know. And then Elder being a CPA, she could save that money she's paying this dude to cut the grass, buy a lawnmower, and my husband can cut my grass.
That's right.
So I think there's a point in time. There's small things that a man can do to show you that I will provide for you, but then there's some things that a woman shouldn't ask a man to do.
Okay. Well, let's. Okay, go ahead, Greg.
To piggyback off the cutting the grass, but then a woman to throw something out there as far as saying, I don't have enough money to pay my rent. Okay. They'll throw stuff out there to see what your response is going to be.
Okay.
My response would be, wow, we're going to pray that the Lord make a way.
Right. And then if you don't pay it, you may not get that text back or you may not get that call back depending on how far the relationship is. But some women will throw that out there to see how your response is going to be.
Well, I want to piggyback on that because I got a comment on that, but I want to see what y'all say to that. What does anybody have a response to that?
Yeah, if you don't get that text back after not volunteering to pay the rent, that's just a blessing in disguise or not in disguise, because that's just not.
That's where I was going to. Yeah. Exactly right. And I wanted to see if anybody else was thinking that. I mean, I think what we're hopefully showing everybody who's listening are these, y'all, are key indicators that the person does not like you. I mean, if you don't pay her rent, we're back to Mel's statement that, okay, she's moving on then to the next guy because what she's looking for
is a rent payer.
Absolutely. She's not looking for a relationship.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Okay.
But I've been told, Bishop said something about being intimidating. I've been told that I don't need enough. I'm independent. I own my own house. I have my own cars. So it's like, what can I do for you?
Well, I think
that's okay. That's the intimidation piece.
Yeah, but I think that, looking at it as an older male, first of all, I think I'm not a sold out alpha male. So, and when I say that, I think the real sold out adrenaline junkie alpha male needs that weak woman. Mm-hmm. To me, weak women weren't attractive. So the thing that was attractive to me about her was that she didn't need me. So I guess what I would say to you is that's probably a guy that's really caught up in his own insecurities. And I'm back to the statement earlier. It probably was a blessing in disguise because I don't think, and y'all can speak to this, no real guy. Now here's and let me finish my statement because I'll wrap. No real guy wants a weak woman. But I think men, because of the fragileness of our ego, want a woman that shows that she needs us.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
say. And I don't know what the balancing act is there, because it could be what he's communicating, because Elder and I talked about this one time. We went on vacation, and we saw a woman of our ethnicity. She had these big old suitcases, and you know how you catch the shuttle bus from the rental car place to the airport. She got up on the thing, threw them big old suitcases up there, and when the bus stopped, she reached up, snatched them down, and went on in the airport. Someone else right behind her of a different ethnicity had a bag that was about this big, and she said, oh, you saw 15,000 guys on the rental car bus. Oh, I'll help you with that, So I think men do have a need to be needed, but I think it's not healthy for a woman to, first of all, perpetrate, but then secondly, to be needy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was going to say to Andrina. I mean, it's not about the fact that you have your own house, your own car. I mean, I think that's where we might fail sometimes. We have to learn to be feminine in those kinds of areas because the average man, I think more so today with the millennial generation than with our generation, because men of the past were raised that they were supposed to take care of the woman. And whether they did it or not, that was society. And women were raised that the man is supposed to take care of you. So we didn't try to be that superwoman that got her own house and own car and things like that. But I think today's man, I haven't met one who says my wife can just stay home. I mean, all of them I have seen wants them contributing in some way, shape, or fashion. I mean, I know it varies in terms of the degrees, but as a general rule, I think they want that. But I still think they want the woman who's weak and needs you to, can you open this soda for me? It's just so hard. I can't open it.
Yeah, 'cause
I agree. That's the ego stroking that I think is sufficient to offset you being fiscally sound on your
Because
own.
sometimes I even wonder, and I don't know this, you know, she'll be struggling with a jar, and then when I go to open it, the jar almost really kind of opens. So I'm like, okay, so she just must have felt like my stuff was a little on edge today, and she needed to let my ego get stroked. Because she like, babe, I can't open this jar. And, you know, then you go over there, and you're like, yeah, right. You know, but I tell, and y'all hear me say this all the time, I tell her all the time, lie to me, you know. So it's fine with me. I be like, yeah, man, I ain't know I was that strong. I just snapped it right on off.
Right.
But I think,
so that's the balance.
right. I think there is a balance. But I guess when I look at, and I'm just looking at you all as a pastor, father in the faith, when I look at you all, knowing what I know about all three of you, educated, intelligent, got your standards, you probably are intimidating to, you're definitely intimidating to any kind of man who doesn't have a decent level of confidence. But I don't think it's something you did.
And this is what we were talking in between the breaks, so I want to come back to the fellas to jump into this. Because, I mean, I agree with this statement. I don't disagree with it. But I think the real issue is they're only intimidated to a guy who ain't got nothing on his own.
I agree with us.
That's the intimidation. You and I, and we began to talk about that. You want someone that can bring something to the table as well. So if you meet somebody who has the table laid, and you don't have anything to add to the table.
What if they can bring more to the table?
Well, that's what
I get that from a lot of guys that get into this. She make more money than me. Well, I lived through that. I mean,
right,
that
but they're
no
still
real
bringing
big
something to
issue
the
for me.
table.
Right.
And I think our discussion centered around too many women or men, either way, who have nothing to bring to the table but baggage and debt and a whole lot of other stuff, but yet they want this man or this woman, either way, who's making a six-figure salary and driving the SUV, and they're looking at each other like,
right, like, what are you bringing?
What are you bringing
to the table?
You know, are you working on yourself so that when this man comes that you want, what does he see that you're bringing?
And I could be wrong, Elder, but the reason why I said that to the ladies is because I think where our society has failed is we've raised up a generation of men who, and I could be wrong, and this is no slight on the millennial men, but I think you're right. My generation was raised, you got to take care of your wife.
Exactly.
I think now some kind of a way with the, what's the word that they are, entitlement generation. I have never, in our generation, even if my wife made $400,000 a year, I'm going to have a job.
That's correct.
I think now we got a generation of guys that'll be like, well, she make $400,000 a year. You know, I can play Xbox all day. And that just, you know, and I'm not saying that across the board.
Right.
But I didn't see that in our generation. You know, guys were going to get up and go to work. So I think that that's what I mean by the intimidation factor, because I know for myself, I wasn't intimidated by how much money you made. I was intimidated by the circle that you flowed in, because I felt like that circle was very intimidating to me. But we're gonna stay right
Good
here.
stuff.
Yeah, it's good. So once again, this is Marriage Talk. Please write us, email us, communicate with us, and text us, Instagram us, where you can text her and Facebook her and all that kind of stuff, Instagram. But we want to know how the ministry moment is blessing you. We've been so blessed by these beautiful young adults that are sharing their heart and pouring it out. We're going to be back next week, same time, and we're going to be able to share even more, dig a little deeper, remind somebody that we're talking to singles and young adults. We'll see you next week, and we know that your life will never be the same. Your relationships went to another level today because you had some single marriage talk.